Hi, so about 6 months back, you may have seen that I have cut my fiddly fig, and so the ficus fiddly fig, and I had put it in water to propagate. And now, as you can see, it's got an enormous root system, like it's really ready to be potted up. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer this into semi-hydro. So I use the semi-hydro by Soil Ninja here in the UK. And this is what it looks like. It's just different lava rocks and stuff. So what we're going to do is we are going to pot that up in a self-watering pot. Now, the one that I got this off Amazon, and I love two things about this. The first thing is, of course, it's a self-watering pot. But besides that, the inner pot is transparent. So what that helps me is it helps me see the roots as they're growing. So it really gives me a good visual of what's happening within the soil as well. And of course, the outside pot is not clear, so it prevents all the algae buildup. As well as it has a little window which tells me the water level. Now this, I must admit, gets a little bit mucky, and once it's mucky, you cannot really see the water level very clearly. I wish this was a little bit bigger. But it's good enough when, you know, if the pot is close by and if you are regular with cleaning it up, which guilty, not as good as that, but I wish I could be better. So firstly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the wicking cord through the holes, and I'm going to make sure that they are equal at the bottom and simply put it back in. Now, what I'm going to do is I have two different semi-hydro pebbles. So one of them is the coarse one and the other one is the fine. So the coarse, you can see, is a little bit bigger. And I'm going to put that on the bottom layer. So I'm going to put the wicking cord a little bit above that. Put about 2 scoops of the coarse. You don't have to. I mean, you can just use the same one as well. But I like to mix it up for the coarse at the bottom because I feel that it prevents some of the pebbles from falling down into the water reservoir as well as get good drainage at the bottom. So that's just my preference. As I said, you don't have to, but since I have it, I like to use it. Also, the roots on the ficus are not extremely thick, but they're not super fine as well. So either or would work with it, but I still like to use the fine semi-hydro for the root system. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to take out this plant, and I'm loving the roots, like seriously loving the roots. Like, just look at those roots. Like, I want to take a pic at this point, like, you know, just to kind of capture the roots. So, and if you notice, I did take out the last 1 or 2 leaves when I propagated it in water. So that way there was enough roots for the, enough nodes at the bottom for the root system to build. So this is like a brilliant root system. So, and hopefully it's going to adjust well in semi-hydro, like it doesn't have any transition shock from water to semi-hydro. So I'm just going to try and see if I can open up the roots a little bit. Okay, that's not really what's happening, so I'm just going to leave it. I tend to not play with the roots a lot because I think not a lot of plants would like their roots to be played with. So I try to avoid that as much as possible. So now I'm just going to fill up the pot. Like, it's very simple, very easy. And especially with semi-hydro, it's just pebbles. So I think it makes it a lot easier. And since the pebbles are heavy enough, they tend to hold the plant down also quite well. So I'm just hoping this is going to stay. And I'm just going to fill up as much as I can without making it overflow. So I don't want to fill it right to the top as well, as much as I can avoid that, because what happens is when the roots start filling out inside, sometimes I've noticed with certain plants, you know, with semi-hydro, it's not like they don't get squished up. The soil remains the same, so it starts spilling from the top. So I like to kind of not fill it all the way to the top. So as you cannot see actually. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of space. So I'm going to fill in a little more. And now in order to prevent transplant shock, which like the fiddly fig can be a little bit more sensitive as well. I've heard, I mean, to be very honest, I've had very good experience with my fiddly fig, but I've heard that it can be a little bit of a, you know, it doesn't like to be moved a lot. It likes to stay in its own spot. Like once you find a good spot for it, good sunlight, good temperature, leave it there. Don't keep moving it. It's not one of the plants that likes to move. And when I did have some, during the winter, it was quite cold and I was traveling, so there was no heating in the house. My fiddly fig did lose few of its bottom leaves, which it hadn't the previous year. Now, I've only been growing these plants for 1.5 years and I'm learning along the way. But that was a very good point for me to make sure that the heating's on when I'm on when I'm traveling as well. So that's something that I have learned along the way. But otherwise, my fiddly fig has done really well. In winters, it didn't grow as much, but I didn't have any major issues apart from the winter days when I was away. So it did lose some of its leaves due to that. Now what I'm going to do is to prevent transplant shock. Sorry, I skipped the point. I will be using Super Thrive. Now I'll just, when I water this, I'm not going to do it right away. I will do it off camera. But what I will do is I will mix some Super Thrive in the water and I'll water it all the way around. So because this is a transparent pot, I will also be able to see, like, make sure that everything is nice and wet. And in the reservoir as well, I will the water that I'll fill in the reservoir will also have Super Thrive. So Super Thrive kind of helps helps the plant adjust to the change in the substrate. So as you can imagine, here it's getting water like all the time in this. Now of course this I should have cleaned it, I should have washed it up, but I haven't been very good with changing my water, but my plants have still done fairly well. So this is one that's done. As you can see, it's nicely potted up and I'm loving it. I can't wait to see it grow. So that's the first one that's been planted. Now I will be planting 2 more. So the other 2 are the cuttings that I recently took, and I've once again taken off the bottom leaf. So this is how the previous one had been cut. So I had cut it from between the nodes. So as you can see, there are 2 leaves growing over here and the middle of that would be the node. So you got, these are the 2 nodes. If I wanted to take a cut, I would take a cut over here. And then I've taken off the 2 leaves. So this way, if for example, I was going to put this in water, I would directly do that and put it in water. However, since I've already done a water propagation, for a change, what I am going to do is, one of them I'm going to put back into water, of course, but the other one, I'm going to try and put it in stratum, frugal stratum. So this is what I'm going to be putting it in. So wait and watch the next video. I am going to be putting it up fairly soon with each other. And just for a little bit of context as well, the one that I put in water, I did use this rooting powder on the base, and I'm going to do the same when I add these 2 to water as well. So keep a lookout for that. Thank you. Bye.